Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a full deep dive today into a really profound narrative, The Burning Ground.
Right, and the source metadata is a little fuzzy. It attributes it to Max and Claude, but you can really feel Ralph Ellison's DNA in there.
Absolutely. It follows one man's, his entire life's search for identity, for visibility, across just decades of American history.
And this dive feels so important because the scope is just immense. We're talking about institutional betrayal, a 20-year retreat underground.
And then this really jarring reemergence into a completely different New York.
Exactly. So the mission for us and, for you listening is to track this journey and try to figure out what visibility even means politically, culturally, when you learn the systems up top are designed to erase you.
And the central act, the thing you can't forget, is that hibernation. He is so disillusioned, so betrayed by everything he ever believed in.
Everything.
And he just descends into a forgotten chamber for 2 decades.
And that descent, it's not just a metaphor, it's a tactical withdrawal. Think about what he's carrying when he goes down there.
The wreckage of his entire life.
All of it. The failed promises of his college, the fake liberation offered by the Brotherhood. Each one taught him the same lesson.
Which was?
That trying to fit into their roles meant the systematic destruction of his actual identity. So, disappearing wasn't just survival. It was the only way he could even start to rebuild.
So we have to start with those betrayals. They're the engine for the whole story.
A brutal 1-2 punch.
Let's start with the college and with Dr. Bledsoe.
Oh, Bledsoe's betrayal is just, it's so calculated, it's cold. So, after he gets expelled, the protagonist heads to New York with these letters of recommendation.
Thinking they're his ticket, right? His way to prove himself.
He's running, trying to chase down that respectability he was promised.
But the letters, the truth of those letters is just horrifying. They weren't meant to help him at all.
Not at all. They were designed to discreetly ruin him. They had that one infamous instruction inside.
Please hope him to death and keep him running.
The sheer cruelty in that, it's not just anger, it's an intellectualized kind of malice. The whole system was built to keep him running toward a future that was never actually there for him.
It puts his rage in perfect context. You spend your life trying to be what they demand, and the finish line is a complete mirage.
So what do? After being, like you said, sentenced to death by hope, where do you turn?
For him, it's the Brotherhood. It seems like the opposite of the establishment.
It's revolutionary. They see the injustice he feels, they give him a name, a stage, a purpose, but, well, he learns pretty quickly it's the same trap.
Just with a different ideology.
Exactly, red flags instead of, academic robes.
And the final straw here is what happens to his friend, Todd Clifton.
It's a devastating part of the story. Clifton is killed by the police. They see him selling these awful Sambo dolls on a street corner in Harlem.
And the Brotherhood's reaction isn't to fight for her.
No, it's to control the narrative. They want the protagonist to spin it, to say Clifton's death was a necessary sacrifice for the cause.
When he refuses, they just expel him. Right. It's another erasure.
It's the same pattern. They try to define him with hope, then with dogma. He realizes the movement is just another machine trying to package his identity, so he has nowhere left to go.
Put down.
He flees during the Harlem riot and finds this forgotten basement, a tunnel, and he decides to stay there, in the dark, for 20 years.
But not in the dark, which is the key. This is where it moves from survival to this radical act of self-assertion.
The 1,369 light bulbs.
Yes. He finds this forgotten space and insists on his own existence with pure, overwhelming light.
He wires them all himself, stealing just an incredible amount of electricity. It's not a shelter, it's a statement. He's turning this hole into an act of defiance against, monopolated light and power, but also against all the monopolies that decide who gets seen.
That number, 1,369, it's so specific, so obsessive. How do you even steal that much power for 20 years? Is that just symbolic, or does the text get into it?
It's both, and that's the genius of it. The text mentions his constant paranoia about the drain on the grid, but symbolically, that pull, it represents the immense energy it takes just to insist you exist in a world that wants to ignore you.
So is he sane down there, or is this just a retreat into a kind of fixation?
Well, the fixation is what keeps him sane. The sources frame this hibernation as a period of intense preparation. He's listening to Louis Armstrong, he's reading, he's resisting that systematic destruction of his identity.
So he's not just hiding?
Not at all. He's actively trying to figure things out. Are we climbing a ladder of progress, or are we just falling down the same well over and over? The bulbs are him yelling, "I refuse to be erased by the dark. I will burn my own way out."
which makes his emergence so much more complicated. He finally pushes that manhole cover aside. It's around 1975, 76.
A literal time traveler. 2 decades. He walks onto 125th Street in Harlem, and the world is just alien. New glass buildings next to total decay.
It feels like a historical costume worn by a man out of time.
Yeah, and he knows he can't just pick up his old life. That life was tied to the very institutions that broke him. He needs something new, right away.
And he finds it. He rents a room and chooses a name.
Reinhardt.
Reinhardt. The callback to the ultimate shapeshifter. The man with 1,000 faces.
It's the ultimate chameleon identity.
But isn't that just trading one type of invisibility for another? He's still playing a role.
That's the paradox, and it's a great point. The visibility he gets as Reinhardt is purely practical. If the world won't let you be one true thing, then be 5 or 6 things at once.
A preacher, the hustler.
Right. By multiplying his roles, he becomes visible because nobody can actually pin him down. It's a kind of self-defense.
And the first thing that really hits him isn't the politics, it's the culture, the sound of the city.
The music he hears is faster, harder, angrier than anything he knew. It wasn't the blues. It had a beat that seemed to punch the air.
It had an urgency.
A defiance he recognized immediately, even if he didn't know the rhythm, and he sees it crystallized in this one moment.
The young man breakdancing in the air shaft.
Exactly. He watches this kid, the clothes, the backwards cap, the way his limbs seem to move on their own, and he sees the lineage.
He sees the zoot suiters from his own time.
It's the same energy, a language of defiance through style, of resistance through rhythm. The struggle has moved on from the Brotherhood's rigid politics and into this cultural flow.
That makes so much sense. Politics needed access, which was always controlled. But culture. You can make culture on a street corner with nothing but your voice.
And that shift is embodied in Marcus.
His new, unlikely guide, a 19-year-old poet and MC.
And Marcus doesn't see a savior. He sees an old head, someone who reminds him of his grandfather, someone who carries history, even if he's lost right now.
It's Marcus who really explains the philosophy of this new visibility, this new art form.
He tells him it's not just music. He says it comes from everything, from the dozens and the signifying, all the ways Black people have always used words to survive. It's a living archive.
And he gives us that key insight. When I'm on the mic, I'm not invisible anymore. I'm saying what I see, and people hear me.
It's a claim to existence rooted in your own voice, not waiting for permission.
But the system, as the text shows us, is really good at recycling its threats.
It's an expert. Just as the narrator was targeted for thinking for himself, Marcus, as his voice gets bigger, becomes a threat.
It's the same pattern all over again. Marcus is arrested, thrown on Rikers Island for, what do the sources call it?
Some bullshit. Possession with intent. A clear, brutal attempt to silence a voice that was getting too big.
It's Todd Clifton again.
But this time they're trying to disappear the artist with paperwork instead of a bullet.
And this is what finally pushes the narrator. He decides his role isn't to be a leader anymore.
No, his role is to listen, to learn from Marcus's generation and add his experience to their struggle.
Which is how he goes from being a speaker, an orator, to being a writer. Marcus is the one who tells him to do it.
Write it down, spit it. That's what we do. We take the pain and we turn it into something else. And that leads to his first big manuscript.
But here comes the final paradox of visibility. He writes this incredible book.
And the literary world rejects it, at first.
They can't categorize it. It's too strange, too dense. And then comes the critique that must have just cut him to the bone.
Not Black enough.
What a phrase.
It's a whole new kind of invisibility, isn't it? They didn't want the complexity of the 3,369 light bulbs. They wanted a story that fit a neat, marketable box. He says, I'm invisible again. Invisible in a new way.
The visibility they're offering is conditional, and the condition is conformity.
It's the same commodity threat Marcus faced. The narrator advises him when he gets that big record deal offer that visibility is a means, not an end.
He says if the price of being seen is becoming someone else, then the visibility is worthless.
It's a kind of invisibility in disguise, and they both choose to resist that.
And as the protagonist gets older, he sees this cycle repeating, but the methods of erasure just get more sophisticated.
He calls them new invisibilities. He points to the AIDS plague, where the government just looked away because the victims were, in his words, people they don't care about.
And then gentrification. The community he fought for, Harlem, is erased not by hate, but by real estate.
Disappeared by money. A quiet, clean, effective erasure.
So after this entire life, What's left? What's the final legacy?
It only really emerges after he's gone. His friend Vivian is going through his papers and she finds it. The raw, unpublished manuscript, The Light Below.
This isn't the book that eventually got published. This is the one he wrote from the underground.
The one written during the hibernation. And this raw version proves to be the most powerful piece of his entire legacy. It sparks this second emergence of his voice decades later for a new generation wrestling with their own invisibility.
So the journey is finally complete. From institutional betrayal to this voluntary descent and a final real emergence that wasn't about power or fame.
No, it was about an uncompromising, self-authored story, a testimony written from the dark.
So what's the final lesson here? What does this massive journey offer us?
I think it's that visibility is an active claim. It's not a gift someone gives you. He says, to be invisible is to be unobserved. To be visible is to be seen. And to see, to truly see, is to participate in the ongoing creation of the world.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound paradox. If the most powerful truth in this story, the manuscript The Light Below, comes from the darkest, most hidden place, it makes you wonder, what essential part of your own experience are you maybe keeping underground right now for fear of being judged or misunderstood or erased? Something to think about.